Right to the last is Lewis Crocker.
Paddy! That was really late.
Crocker down.
Disqualified!
He has disqualified Paddy Donovan. Controversy here.
The ref took my dreams away tonight.
The shot was after the bell.
I dropped Lewis, I beat him up, and I was getting a knockout.
Look, that's not the way I want to win a fight.
I've got to be honest with you, I want to see it again.
Lewis Crocker defeats Paddy Donovan on a 12-round split decision. Wow, where do I even start with this? Last time out, back in March, Paddy Donovan beat the brakes off Lewis Crocker. Beat the brakes off him. Lewis Crocker tried to apply pressure, Lewis Crocker I should say, tried to apply pressure and failed spectacularly. He got bashed up, he was swelling up after only a couple of rounds, and in the 8th round he was dropped in that round, but his eye ultimately was swollen shut. And had Paddy Donovan not got himself DQ'd with a silly shot after the bell, in my opinion, the corner would have pulled him out immediately after that round, because there was no way he was going to win the fight and he was in no position to continue. He escapes with his O. This then becomes an IBF final eliminator. It was an IBF final eliminator. This now becomes an IBF world title fight for the vacant world title, vacated by Boots Ennis. And I thought, okay, it's going to be very difficult for Lewis Crocker to be worse than he was last time around. He knows what he did wrong, and he knows what he needs to do to be able to make the necessary adjustments. However, I still think Paddy Donovan is going to be a little bit too good. Then I saw Paddy Donovan was sparring with David Evanesian, and I was like, I wouldn't necessarily say David Evanesian's a good fighter, but I would have him, but I'd also have a boxer who's maybe going to try and box me, because you would be absolutely beyond foolish if your team Lewis Crocker to go and do what you did last time again. You'd be foolish because you got bashed up, you got an absolute pasting, and you got your get out of jail free card. So you're obviously going to swap it up. So you need to be ready for every eventual outcome. And Paddy Donovan, from the first bell, you were like, oh, this is going to be a chess match, because there was no big shots thrown. Lewis Crocker was not applying pressure. He was trying to box as well, and you were like, okay, how is this going to go? Now, Paddy Donovan for me was the better boxer of the two. You could see it. He was the better schooled. He had just that more refined game. He had the better athleticism. He was just more refined. However, Lewis Crocker was always dangerous. He was always dangerous, in particular with the right hand and left hook, because Paddy Donovan was making mistakes. He was coming in. Sometimes he was coming in with his feet too wide. He was coming in way too upright. He was switching off. He ultimately got dropped in round number 3. And it was a balance thing more so than anything else. He feet very wide. He came in with a shot. He was kind of hitting the side of the head / neck. It was blatantly obvious that it was just a balance thing. It wasn't him being hurt. And Lewis Crocker instantly was like, all right, I'm not going to go for this, because one, last time if I go for it, he's opportunity to hit me, and he's not hurt enough. So he didn't. And Paddy Donovan then again settled back into his boxing. Now, Paddy Donovan, when it was just out and out boxing in the ring, middle of the ring, I thought was the better of the two, and I thought that he was winning these rounds reasonably clear. I gave him the first round. I actually thought the second round you maybe could have given it to Lewis Crocker, maybe, and definitely obviously round 3 it was a 10-8 round. You get into round 4, Paddy Donovan again I feel is doing good stuff. I think it was round 5 then Donovan made a crucial mistake where right near the back of the round he was winning as well, he just is too upright, gets hit with a left hook, counter left hook, and he gets dropped. And this time it was a lot more heavy. He seemed a lot more hurt. Very lucky, it was literally at the end of the round, so the bell went as he's getting up, able to sit in the corner. And Lewis Crocker, no matter what happened, was always very gun shy. He was letting the right hand go for counters, but he was never really taking the lead with any of the right hands or any of the left hooks. He was always just trying to play the cat and mouse game. And he was having success doing it. He was landing maybe a shot every now and again. And Paddy Donovan was doing the better work, I found. And he was just, for me, it wasn't necessarily he was outboxing him, not really, because it was really just a chess match, but he was the more active of the two. He was the busier. There wasn't a lot of clean shots that really went through from either guy. I mean, neither guy is really going to look at that fight and say they took much of a beating, not really. But I just felt that Donovan was doing a bit more of what he needed to do. A punch that I'm surprised he didn't throw, because yes, it was there for him the last fight. It was there for him because Lewis Crocker made the mistake of coming in, with the high guard. But the uppercut was still there for Donovan, and he very seldom threw it, if I remember, in this fight. Which was strange, because I think that shot, although Lewis Crocker was defensively better, I think it might have been still there for him. So for me, that was a bit strange that Paddy Donovan wasn't throwing that shot. And after the second knockdown, it kind of settled into Paddy Donovan just boxing at long range and just keeping it as a boxing match. And I think he kind of was able to make the necessary adjustments at that point. Because, again, Paddy Donovan probably went into this fight thinking, all right, he's going to pressure me, he's going to pick up from where he left off, he's going to maybe be a bit more cute with it. Clearly, he wasn't expecting a boxing match like that, clearly. But roughly by about the mid-rounds, round 7, Paddy Donovan, you could see he was kind of getting more comfy in it, he knew what he was doing, he knew what he was trying to do. And personally, for me, I felt Paddy Donovan won this fight. I thought that, 3 rounds, maybe, I gave to Lewis Crocker, and obviously 2 of them were 10-8 rounds. But I still felt that Paddy Donovan won the majority of the rounds, as did the team that they had for the zone. I think it was Joe Cordina, George Liddard, someone else as well. Some of them had it closer, but they all had Paddy Donovan winning. I think Darren Barker had Paddy Donovan winning. I think Adam Smith did. I felt Paddy Donovan won this fight. It certainly was closer with the 2 knockdowns, and had they not happened, Paddy Donovan would have won the fight, in my opinion. But I still think he did enough to win it. He was devastated again. It's really... I really don't know I don't know what to say, really, because should have won the first fight, got himself DQ'd when he was literally about to win. And I actually felt that he did win this fight. There was rounds where, hard to score, some of them, because, Lewis Crocker was jabbing quite good and he was getting the odd shot off, but I still, for me, I find it very hard to score around to someone when they're really only landing a couple of shots here and there. And it's the fact that they're not really damaging shots. Different if Paddy Donovan had been doing what he was doing and then noticeably getting stunned with a shot, or his head snapping back violently with, a big counter or something like that. Then you can maybe look and say, okay, maybe, but it wasn't really the case. It wasn't really. So for me, it was a Paddy Donovan win, simple as. But not to take it away from Lewis Crocker, and the improvements and the adjustments he made from the first fight. As I said, it was hard to get worse from the first fight, so he was only going to get better. Didn't expect to be this much better. He gets his world title. He is now IBF welterweight champion. I don't know what they're going to do about maybe a trilogy, because realistically, and again, I don't know Paddy Donovan. I've never met him. I've never even had any interactions with him. But I can't help but feel sorry for him. I can't help but feel it. Yes, the DQ, I believe, was justified. Yes, first time round, he was beating the brakes off him, and he gets DQ'd. And then in this fight, he gets his game plan a little bit wrong early on, but then adjusts, and he loses split. Really, it is a little bit harsh. I guess, at the end of the day, life's not fair. I guess some would say that you make your own luck in this world, but I find that very, very harsh, because Donovan, I think, is tremendously talented. I've always felt that. I covered his first pro fight in this channel. I do kind of feel that. I do kind of feel Paddy Donovan did do enough to win. But look, credit to Lewis Crocker. I actually remember watching him in Windsor Park all those years ago when Carl Frampton and Tyson Fury were there. Remember that actually well. He fought William Warburton, very well known journeyman. He's retired now, very well known journeyman in the UK scene. I think his name was Mr. Reliant. Was that him or was that someone else? But he was a well known journeyman. I remember he fought him way back when, 2018. So yeah, credit to him, credit to both guys. But I felt Paddy Donovan the deserved winner in my opinion. So we'll see what they do next. Looks like the end of the world for Paddy. It isn't the end of the world, but that's a lesson. Always prepare. Even if someone is that bad doing what they did first time, you'd be a complete moron to do it the second time. That's why you need to just be like, right, we think you might do this, but let's just prepare for a boxing match just in case. He should have prepared for it. I think if he did, he would have been more well equipped. I really do. But anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed it, people. Smash the like button if you could. Hit subscribe, of course, as always, if you haven't already. Peace.